Hello, intermediates. I hope this video finds you well. I think we're in week 5 now. I've lost track, but this video is to go over what we've done in class since our last meetup so that you guys have a little refresher before we meet again on Sunday. So the first thing that this video specifically is going to be about is just our warm-ups. If you would like to go into the repertoire video of what we're actually practicing the Minuet, that will be the other video that I do. That being said, I would highly recommend that you start with this one with your practice session. So this is going to be a guided practice, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is the C major scale. And you can experiment with different bow lengths if you want. I am going to lead you through the extra long one today. So that's going to be 4 beats per note. I've got my very analog metronome here. It's called a Dr. Beat. You do not have to get something this obscure. However, you can go ahead and download an app for metronome on your phone. In fact, if you just search the word metronome, you will find the metronome that I like. It's called metronome. Okay, good. So I'm going to put this at, so this is 75, this speed. That's beats per minute. And we're going to map it out so that we have 4 of those beats per note. And you'll see on my bow specifically, I'm going to move my bow as slowly as I possibly can. Now, you don't have to do that. You can use a full bow if you want, but I'm going to show you what that looks like. You'll notice that I can move my bow a little slower on the C string. The A I'm going to have to move a little bit faster. However, if I get closer to the bridge on the A string, I can actually slow it down. And what this will produce is a very powerful, big sound. I'm not sure if this will translate on the video, but in real life, that's what that creates. So let's go ahead and start. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So as you might have heard, that scale was not perfect. I had some scratches and hiccups there, but I kind of achieved my initial goal, which was to see how slow I could move my bow and how big of a sound I could create as a result. So I was just experimenting with that. I encourage you to do the same thing too. Don't try to test your scale out to be perfect the first time you try it. Just try a technique. Try a technique you've been working on, or try something new. You certainly don't have to move your bow that slowly either. If you're using a whole bow for that scale, that's perfectly fine. If this speed is too slow for you, or 4 beats is too much, that's totally fine too. In fact, I would recommend, if you wanted to, pause the video right now and try that scale a couple more times at your own pace. That would be a great way to warm up. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is the arpeggio for the C major scale. And this is a really helpful one for Minuet too, as you know. So what I'm going to do for this one is speed it up a little bit. I'm keeping that at the same speed, but this time I'm just going to do 2 beats per note, so it'll be sort of twice as fast. All right, so let's try this together. The arpeggio, 2, 3, 4. Cool. I'm going to demonstrate that one more time, and what we're going to do this time is once we go up to that C and play it once and go back down to the bottom, I'm just going to go right back into another repetition of it. So we're going to basically do it 2 times in a row. Okay, let's try this. 1, 2, ready, and open C. 'Awesome. Now, feel free to take that one and speed it up if you want to just do like kind of 1 beat per note. Is what that would kind of sound like there. Or you can take it at just a slightly faster pace, not really having to do with the beat we just played it at. Comfort. What I would recommend though is keep the metronome on to make sure that each of the beats, each of the notes you're playing are the same length. That's really, really important to build consistency between each of the notes. Otherwise, we kind of fall into the habit of playing at whatever speed feels comfortable for us at whatever note, which is easier, but it doesn't exactly translate into effective music making. So keep that metronome on through your warm-up, and I promise you it will do you wonders for when we actually work on the piece. So the last thing I'm going to recommend is doing just a little bit of work on the shift that we have. When we go to measures specifically 23 and 24, of the piece, just to remind you of what that is. It's this little spot here. So what this warm-up is designed for is to gain control of the left-hand coordination there. Now you guys have tapes and I don't, so this can be a little bit easier for you visually, especially if you put yourself in front of a mirror. But this is what we're going to do for it. So I'm going to start on my normal first finger. I'm going to go to 4. I'm going to go back to 1. And now I'm going to replace where my 4th finger went down with my 3rd finger. So now my 3rd finger would be on my theoretical 4th finger tape, and that's where your 3rd finger should be too. And then I place 4th finger down. And now I have my extended note that we need for minuet. So to do that again, going back to first position, 1, 4, 1, slide on up, and back. 1, 4, 1, extended 4. One more time. 1, 4, 1, shift up. Now, this one, I recommend doing it as many times as you need to really get comfortable with it. That might mean doing it slower than I just did it. It will definitely mean doing it at least a dozen more times than we just did it together. This is a really important thing to know about shifting when we move out of like kind of where we set up our hand in beginning cello, is anytime we have to move out of that position, it's gonna take a lot of repetition. So give yourself the space to practice it, okay? Good. So that about does it, I think, for the warm-ups that are relevant right now. Feel free to, again, repeat any of the ones that we did, work at them at your own pace, try them with the metronome so you make sure that you're nice and consistent, and put in a little time and effort on the warm-up, and your practice routine for the real piece will definitely benefit for it. All right, so join me on the next video, and we'll talk more about the minuet. All right, take care. Bye.